I gotta manage this. I gotta manage that. Like,
You
what?
can't. You can't.
Hello, everybody. Hi.
Hello.
We're gonna have a little fun. We're gonna try and make it like a little bit actually, it's gonna be interactive. We're gonna have some stuff. My name is Rodney. I'm gonna be your moderator for the day. I do a lot of stuff, ttrpg creation. I'm in a cool podcast called Venture Forth. Some of the other people here are as well. And we're gonna talk about characters that have something to say, and specifically like how you would build them and put them in a world so that others can interact with them, audiences, other people at the table. And stories are so deeply connected to who we are as humans, so the characters that are in them are how we connect. So we won't talk about it. But first, what I would like to do, I should have put music in. I want to go down this line of amazing people and tell you who they are. This man right here.
Y'all ready for this?
Shane is a cast member. Man, I'm gonna, you know what? Wild Magic's coming out soon. Wild Magic table. So Shane is on Venture Forth as well. He's one of the creators. He produces the music. He is a real-life bard. Highly recommend checking him out. He acts, he does voice acting, and he is an amazing human being. Everybody, let's say hi to Shane.
Hi. Hello.
I've never done that on a panel before.
You know what? It's different. It's different over here.
We're breaking ground.
It's different over here. Ashley. Hi, Ashley. Ashley is a game writer, a fantasy author. She's worked in the games industry for over 10 years, and she's done copywriting, narrative design. She happens to be a narrative lead on Apex. You know, Apex Legends, little game.
No big deal.
I'm about to hit you up for some tips on how I could die less.
You could try not firing randomly into this guy. That would be my
I did it one time, Shane. I did it three times. I did it 3 times. I did. I got frustrated, okay?
He was testing the gun.
She loves writing. She's very good at it. Roller skating, telling good jokes, also telling bad jokes, my favorite kind, and eating everything that's put in front of her. She does have a Instagram page dedicated to cooking. Highly recommend. Everybody, let's say hi to Ashley.
Hi, Ashley.
Let's go. All right, next on the list, we got Weston, a.k.a. Arcane Anthems. Every hero... Oh, somebody knows him.
Hello.
Okay, interesting. Every hero deserves an anthem. Weston, also known as Arcane Anthems, tells stories through campaigns, characters, videos, and music. He creates free music, for storytellers to enhance their work. It's super cool. He's got a Patreon out there, and he makes music so that if you're streaming or making TTRPG content or just streaming content, you can have some dope music in the background. So let's shout out Weston. What's up, Arcane?
What's up, Arcane? What's up, Arcane?
Hi, Weston.
Hi, Wes.
Hi, Arcane.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Rebecca. Rebecca is also a cast member of Venture Forth. She's East Coast-born, West Coast-based actress, perpetually searching for the best mushroom ravioli or the next gloomy day. She spends her time slaying dragons, and you can hear her on Venture Forth playing our chaotic child sorcerer, Oma Marsk. Everybody say hi to Rebecca.
Hi, Rebecca.
Oh, Seth. Hi, Seth.
Hi.
Seth tried to kill me earlier, so I don't really know how I feel about this. The table is turned, my friend.
Now I'm in the hot seat.
Seth is an actor, producer. He's an entrepreneur. He's a dungeon master for Venture Forth. Go figure. His journey in D&D started in 2017. He co-owns Longest Title Creative, an LA-based production company. They make really dope stuff, so if you're looking for stuff for your company, hit him up, you know what I'm saying? Just like shout him out. And he's a gracious DM. In fact, he's probably the best DM I've ever played with personally, and I've played with some amazing DMs, so check him out. Everybody, let's say hi, Seth.
Hi, Seth.
It's different when you receive it. It's very different.
It's different when you receive it. Utahime, international host, professional cosplayer. I mean, in cosplay right now. Let's go. On brand.
Let's go.
ttrpg performer. She's participated in various tabletop campaigns, charity streams, going to be at Gen Con next week. She's had the honor of working with brands such as Wizards of the Coast, Cobalt Press, Renegade Games, Chaosium, and many more. And she's amazing. Highly recommend checking out her socials. Everybody say hi, Utahime.
Hi, Udahime.
All right, now we're going to get into it. So what we did earlier, to save y'all, I rolled a d6 to determine which of these 6 people would be going first. And Weston drew the whatever, first straw.
The best straw.
He drew the best straw.
The straw.
You know what I need to do? I need to set a timer because I'm time blind, and if I don't set a timer, I'm gonna let this go way too long. So let's go ahead and do that. It's called self-regulating. All right, Weston, hi.
Hi.
Let's just me and you. Let's just have a little conversation. Nobody else is here. Nobody else is here. Can you talk to us a little bit about your process? Like, something that was really interesting when I was talking to you before was you have a passion for helping new people create characters and get into D&D. And there's a couple of interesting things there. But like, when you first start with somebody who is new to Dungeons and Dragons or a TTRPG, how do you start getting them into creating a character? Where do you start?
I think the first thing that you need to do whenever you're
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I have to interrupt. I have to say one thing. I'm sorry. I said it was going to be interactive. So there's a rule. They're not allowed to say, I piggyback on what the last person just said. So if you hear it, you got to make noise. So I can roll a d20 and then they have to do a thing. Feel me? I got it in my pocket. It's right here. So I'm sorry, Weston. Where you would start is.
Yeah. So to piggyback off myself.
So I have a table of 20 things.
We're never going to get through anything. I swear.
I was going to say, let's take a
what's
bet
that, Shane?
who would do it first, but it's already done.
That's an 18.
18.
You have to whisper your next answer.
Stage whisper.
You got to pay me to do that.
Ooh, we got ASMR in here.
Oh, Lord.
So, when you're setting up a new person who's trying to get into Dungeons and wow, this is very sultry. When you're trying to get into D&D or tabletop role-playing games, I always encourage people. Well, I'm so sorry to the people who are just coming in. I swear I don't know how to sound like this. Oh dear.
You did this.
Chuck's never gonna understand.
Pay me later. I always encourage people to play like you would as a kid. And I tell them that when you first start, it's going to be a little bit awkward. Because as adults, we forget how to play. And play is at the very base of these games. This imaginative play. Right? Is this soft enough as a whisper? So I always encourage. It makes it sound very somber, but like encouraging that play and that imagination, and for adults to do that, they have to be vulnerable. And if you haven't been vulnerable in a while, it can feel awkward. So I always encourage my players to feel that awkwardness and know that they are practicing vulnerability. And then once everybody starts understanding that they are playing with one another, and you start to feel that childlike sense of wonder again, that awkwardness melts away. But if you let them know, then they don't have to confront themselves about it and feel awkward. They just know that everybody at the table feels that way, right? So setting that expectation, feel awkward, and you're gonna have a great time in like 10 minutes. Let's say that.
All right, so I got a follow-up for that.
Awesome.
So I've done a couple of streams with you where you were walking new people through some of this and like teaching them just like the mechanics and the basics. But what kind of tips do you have as you're teaching someone to inhibit and take the space of another character or to lean into that vulnerability. Do you have any tips for everybody here?
As a DM, I'm constantly wanting to provide opportunities to my players do I just still have to whisper? Am I still whispering?
You're
It's a new answer.
Look, you don't
New
have
answer.
to whisper
All right.
anymore. By the mechanics of the game, whisper has been cleared.
So for my players and for new players, I forget the question.
Encouraging them to inhabit.
Yeah, how do they inhabit the character?
I provide them opportunities to seek little things inside of their character. So they're sitting around a campfire, right? And I have them draw suits of cards, so like suited cards. And if you draw a heart, you have to share a moment from this character's childhood. If you draw a diamond, you need to talk about your best friend as growing up as a kid, the character's best friend as a kid. So when you prompt them and then they start talking about those things, that's an easy way for them to begin to improv, begin to flesh out their character, and begin to invest themselves in the game.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, that is a good answer.
So I'm going to come back to you. Rebecca, hi. You got second.
Hi.
Oh, you're sharing a mic. I like this.
Sharing is caring.
That should have been one of the things. So Rebecca, I don't know if I mentioned it, she's also a voice actor, and she has a really unique way of creating characters. That's her. She also has to manage me a lot, so that'll happen.
Nothing if not a manager.
It's been a day. I'm getting punchy. All right. Hey, so character creation. How do you handle moments? No, let's start here. How do you find a voice for a character?
How do I find a voice for a character? Yeah, no, it's a great question. So, oftentimes when I'm cast in something, for like a video game or for a cartoon, there's often a brief already built. They have an idea of how they want the character to sound, and they'll give you kind of small, tiny words to say, yeah, that's what we want. Basically, a deep-voiced woman or sensual sounding, or a very brief, and you have to kind of go with it and go with your gut. And I kind of come at it like that for most character creation. Is like, what is my first instinct for this? Because for me, the first instinct is often going to be the thing that is closer to what is more readily inhabitable. So for me, it's, I see the picture of the character, I see what they've written about it, and I go with that. I decide, where am I going to place this person? What kind of experiences have they had for their bio? So, like, have they grown up with family? Have they grown up as an orphan on the streets? All of that will affect how you sound. Do you spend most of your time around somebody who speaks intelligently? So the way you talk might be a little bit more high class, or do you spend a lot of your time with rogues running through the woods? Those are all going to be very different ways and patterns of speaking, speeds of speaking, etc. So when I'm coming at a character that's already created that I have not created, it's going to be based on what is given to me. However, when I come at like my ttrpg characters, I do the same thing, but I reverse engineer it a little bit. I think about how I want to create this character and what I want people's impressions of them to be. So I play a child, a 12-year-old child on my podcast, and it's really important to me that she sounds excitable and youthful and joyous, but also like a little bit crazy. And so how do you build those sounds into something so that your audience can hear the full thing and kind of visualize that character?
How do you balance the character's voice with engaging the audience and trying to keep it so it is engaging for the audience?
Yeah, well, so it's tough because I think a lot of times when there are certain tones of voices that might not be like the easiest to listen to, or you might make a choice in your show or for your character that you think sounds right for, the 3 lines that you have to do, and then 3 years into playing that character, you're like, hey, you know what? This is a little grating to everybody, isn't it? So how do you pick a character from the start that is exciting and engaging, but also not going to frustrate everybody in the room around you? And kind of that can often be found by going as hard as you can and then like pulling it back a little bit, right? So we had a character on our show for a while where the first few episodes they were playing like an Aarakocra, and they went really hard, and they were like, you know what? Let's pull this back a little bit, like the screeching and the things. Like they were like, let's dial it down and find it from there. And I do something very similar with my character, which is like, okay, I don't want to talk like this all the time. Because I also want people to understand what I'm saying. So how can I evoke that same thing, but pull it back a little bit so that it's not so overwhelming all the time? So it's kind of something like that. You go as hard as you can, and then you pull it back until you feel comfortable with it. And ask your audience or your friends too, the people you're playing with, and they'll tell you.
I'm nodding along because this is huge when we cast for our game, and any game this is the case, because the voice actors will like present us with like, this is what I think the character is, and embody that, and we'll sometimes have 2 that we're like, these are both really good, but like, how long can we listen to this voice? Because our game is like, people will play it for hundreds of hours and there's thousands of lines. So if there's a voice that's really cool, but it's going to you're just going to want to choke them.
Just to put it nicely. Like,
the pick rate is so low because
choke
no
them
one
out.
can stand it. We're like, good effort, but we got to go with like the endurance.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
The confidence that I just got from answering a question and then having a game designer say, yeah. So it's like,
Hey.
I'm going to take that. That's going to be there for a while.
+1 confidence. Utahime, hi.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. In a similar fashion, you're often playing characters that are already created. And so I'm curious to know, how do you think about embodying those characters and putting on a performance in the cases that you are, but then also going into, like, you do a lot of ttrpg live plays and charity streams, and like, how do you juxtapose that when you get to create your own character? Like, what does that process look like for you?
Yes. Well, as you can probably tell, I'm a little obsessed with cosplay. So I love the aspect of like just being able to embody your favorite characters. So we all know the little nuances for our favorite characters that we see in comic books or anime or anything like that. And I try to incorporate a bit of myself, but also to that character. So with Nami, for example, like I actually trained in martial arts, so I love the fact that I can use a staff, which I have hidden underneath here, and I can actually pose and do those dynamic poses that you would probably see Nami do, and kind of represent in that way through movement. But with tabletop role-playing games, I love the fact that I can actually create a character that is just my own creation. It's really awesome because you can embody and you can bring that character that's in your mind, your imagination to life for other people in such a fun way. So I get inspired, just like with cosplay, through media, sometimes just people that I meet. One instance in particular was for, I don't know if you guys have ever played or heard of Coyote and Crow. It's an awesome tabletop role-playing game about basically uncolonized America. And I'm part Native American, and I absolutely love just the world building in that game. But I was going to play in a campaign for that, and I remember I was like, oh man, I want to really create a really interesting character. How am I going to do that? There's so many great options in this ginormous, because it's a pretty thick, she's thick, y'all. She's a thick book. But I remember I went to a coffee shop, and there was this beautiful dog that almost looked like a wolf, and it had 2 different colored eyes. And it was the sweetest little thing ever. And I was like, there's actually lore, there's actually a belief with certain tribes about what that represents when you have two different colored eyes. One is actually like you can almost peer into the spirit realm in a way. There was like this belief about that and being connected to the spiritual. And I created a character just based off of that. So sometimes it's just the things around you that will inspire you. And then I just kind of go from, okay, well, what does she look like? Well, she has two different color eyes. She might be a little bit more mysterious because of the fact that some people actually were a little bit, like in certain tribes did kind of looked not down on them, but it was kind of almost like an intimidating thing, like, oh, they're connected to the spirit.
Like veneration.
Yeah, so it's almost like we're kind of a reverence, but also too there was a little bit maybe of fear, but but of course with any tribe there's different beliefs and such. But for this one particular thing, I did research and kind of built off of that. So again, it's just. The options are endless. There's so many things that can inspire you and ways that you can kind of create a really fun, interesting character from just the things around you or media even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I want to jump to you, Shane, and ask you, what kind of techniques do you use to ensure that characters, have a significant impact on story progression?
That characters have an impact on story progression?
On story progression, as you're thinking about like a campaign or an actual play or something that's being presented.
Yeah, so something that we did in the beginning of creating Venture Forth was we had to agree with our DM on a reason that our character would want to work with other people, which I think is something that a lot of like first-time D&D or other TTRPG players miss out on because they want to create a cool, independent badass, and it's like, no, you have to work with like 4 to 5 other people, and your character, you're going to want to make somebody who's happy to do that, or that at least must do that based on their backstory in some capacity. So that's an important feature of that. And then I think like to go into an even more advanced level, something that I like to do is like interview my DM about what the lore of the world is, what the sort of overall theme of the campaign they're kind of interested in exploring, and the various sort of tensions across the kingdom that might be at play, so that I can create a character that exists within that space, exists within those tensions, so that when certain things happen, I know how my character's going to respond to it because he has a connection with the history of that world, with the current atmosphere of that world.
So it feels real.
It feels real, and it gives you so much to play off of. Like, it's super fun. And then, like, one of the most satisfying experiences I have as a player is to, like, get to a town that we've never been to in the actual playing of the game so far, but, like, know what I'm talking about in the town. Be able to tell other players at the table,
like, educate.
Oh, hey, I know there's this inn over here that I've been to before before the campaign started. It's very, very satisfying.
No, that's awesome.
And it gives you a lot to do when you do, because D&D is all about making choices that affect the world, and it means you can really do something meaningful with your choices. Yeah.
So, quick follow-up. I wrote, how do you balance character development? But I think what I'm really wanting to know is, like, how do you think about character development because D&D, unlike a book, like the needs and wants of a character can change by, like, so many different things, and it can happen so many different times throughout a campaign. So how do you think about character development in developing your characters as you play along?
Well, there's two things. There's the character you build in your head, and then there's the character that they become once you start playing. Because 9 times out of 10, it is not going to stay the same, like, from beat 1. Like, you'll be like, I know exactly who this guy is, and then your friend introduces their character, and it's exactly the same as the one you planned. So you'll be like, okay, I got to pivot. And you have to be ready to do that. You have to... there's certainly a bunch of joy that comes from choosing something specific.
Timer. Keep going. You're good.
Is that my time?
No, you're good.
Okay. There's a joy that comes from choosing something specific and being like, this is the hill my character will die on. But you also have to, this is an expression I love to use, hold on tightly, let go lightly. So be like, I have a cool idea, and then as soon as it's like, oh, that's not going to work for my team, like that's not something that people are like enjoying exploring, or that's something that somebody else is trying to do, be like, okay, cool, I'll figure something else out. The second part 2 of that answer would be that You want to have
Are
a
you
long-
piggybacking on yourself? No, I'm just playing.
I mean, look, I'll do it.
Don't you put that evil on him, Rodney.
I didn't say the word.
I know, I'm putting words in your mouth. Go ahead, sorry, keep going.
If you're playing a campaign, you're going to be playing this character for a long time. So you got to give them somewhere to go. So you can't start out perfect, and you also are hopefully, like in real life, going to make incremental changes to this character. So you don't want to just like all of a sudden become a new person, but you want to give them somewhere to go. So that's just something I like to think about.
I love it. I want to talk to you about it for hours, but we're going to come back. Hi, Ashley.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi there.
So let's start with personality. And you have some different challenges than the TTRPG space, being in a video game where you create something, create someone or a character that is just out there. And you don't get to interact with in the same way as, say, we do when we create a character. But how do you approach integrating a character's personality with the kind of player that might choose to play them, since you're doing this for an audience that might go play, like I might go play a character that you made. So like, how do you think about that integration?
Yeah, and thanks for bringing that up. One of the things that I think is useful to think about, like in this context, is for video games, and especially the kind of games I make, it's sort of what the TTRPG folks do, but kind of reversed. Like your audience is the people around the table, and they all have a character, you're all playing together. My audience is out there. They're going to be playing with the characters I create, and I'm probably never going to see it unless they choose to @ me on Twitter. Please be nice.
Please be nice.
Please be nice.
Please be nice.
And so we have to sort of guess who that player is going to be based on who that character is, like who is going to identify with this character enough that they're going to want to play them. And for one thing that makes that a little easy for us is we'll have essentially classes of characters. Like we have a character, Octane, whose abilities make him run really fast. And we have a character named Fuse who shoots grenades as his main ability. And we have a character who can zip into a building and steal stuff with her mind, basically. And we're like, okay, what kind of person is interested in doing that thing? And can the personality of this character reflect that? It's not, one thing that's pretty nice is the kind of person who's going to, because in Apex Legends, it's a battle royale shooter. They're basically, the characters are betting their lives on this skill set, so they better be really, really good at it. Like Octane better be really, really good at running. So he, like the player who's playing him, is going to be very interested in that. So we look at, okay, what reflects basically this play style. And I think it works in the tabletop. It could work in the tabletop context as well. It's like, who chooses to cast spells instead of swinging a sword?
Right.
What person says, yes, this is me, and what can you extrapolate out about that person from that experience?
Hey, Ashley, as a Loba main, do you know me better than I know myself?
I was the original Loba main.
The answer is yes.
They
She
handed
does.
me the paper with her description, like who she was and her abilities. I'm like, it's me. Vacuum sounds.
Okay, I want to come back because it's something you said and something Shane said here
Are you gonna
makes me want
piggyback
to come
off of
back.
that?
She flipped it!
Oh, how the turntables.
Tables have turned.
Oh, the turns have tabled now.
Oh my god. Okay, you're doing it.
Did I really roll the same
He
thing?
rolled at second 18. I'm not
I feel like I
lying.
have to re-roll it.
Okay. Reroll.
Inspiration points.
Natural 20?
Nat 20. Oh, I mean, okay, cool. I like it.
What is it?
I must start my next phrase with "Once upon a time."
Okay.
Seth. Once upon a time. What I wanted to know about you
Once upon a
is
time, 20 seconds.
how did you get such an exquisite man bun? No. What I really wanted to know is how do you reconcile your personal perspective? So there's a Seth Dungeon Master, so we're going to go there for a second. Lore Master, Dungeon Master. How do you reconcile your personal perspective with the perspective of characters you create, specifically the nasty ones? Because you do them very well, and you're a very nice person. So how do you go to there?
Oh, wow. That's a great question.
There's darkness inside.
There's darkness inside.
There.
He's figured out how to tap in.
The
Listen
eternal
up.
light of the soul. But that's a really good question. I think that, one, obviously, I think everybody's heard this expression, right? Like, no one is the villain in their own story. Everybody is motivated by very finite things that have happened in their life, right? I mean, Rebecca spoke to it earlier, and Shane also spoke to stakes, right? Like, there are events that have happened in the world that this person might be anchored in and has informed so much of their personality. And so, for me, one, I think, is searching for the humanity in someone, even if they are heinously terrible. That is my job, is to find out the parts of that person that are relatable, whether that be anger, sorrow. There is something that motivates all of these people to do the things that they do. Power often can be one, and that often comes from a place of deep feelings of inadequacy, is when you're constantly lusting for power. And so there's so much that can be played with there. And also, like, I love the challenge of that in the first place. So I think that it is finding and asking yourself what kind of reverse engineering, to Ashley's point, reverse engineering, what would make somebody...
That's pretty close.
What did I say?
But it's
Oh,
just
no.
he's just calling out something someone's. I don't know.
Oh, God.
Is it the word piggyback?
Oh,
Or is it
God.
the words? Or is it just doing the thing?
What have I done?
They've tasted human blood.
All right. Do it.
I'm sorry, man. I didn't think it was, but
Dang, I appreciate
okay. 4.
Oh, boy.
What's he got to do? Oh man, I'm sorry, bud.
Uh-oh.
You have to share an embarrassing but funny story.
An embarrassing but funny story.
Before or after he
but
finishes
funny
his...
story.
It doesn't say. I wasn't that smart.
You didn't make the
You can
rules.
choose.
Wait, you did.
It doesn't say.
Follow it
I'll
up.
do after, so I have...
Luggage at the airport.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
That's a good one. So I was recently in Seattle, and long story short, there were a series of elevators not working, and we put all of our cases and various production equipment all on one of those carts, and I went up the escalator with it because none of the elevators worked, and I was very upset about that. But then realized I went one floor too high and didn't even think about it and just immediately pivoted and went down the other way. But it turns out gravity's a thing. And so when the cart that was level went like this, all of our stuff just tumbled down this escalator. Thank God no one was on said escalator, because that would have been horrible. And then I got scolded, rightfully so. But I was mortified because somebody had to tell me, like, you can't do that, right? And I was like, yes, I know. I didn't think about it at the time. So that was very embarrassing. And Justin was there. That's actually my business partner right over there who's filming. He was there, and I really appreciated that he said nothing at all, because he already knew that inside I was already berating myself pretty intensely. So anyway, that's my embarrassing story.
Thank you.
But to going back to evil characters, there are particularly nasty people that it is my job to portray. And I think every Dungeon Master's job is to portray them. And those people deserve to be portrayed in a way that is real, in a way that is compelling, and in a way that is a good opposition for the players at your table. And it is, so with that, that becomes about discovering the things about that person that make them do the things that they do in a very real and a very human way. And just kind of allowing yourself to be vulnerable and explore those dark parts of your own personality to kind of bring that to fruition. So that's kind of how I go about it. And sometimes it can be really satisfying because one, for the players, but as a DM, like portraying a villain in a way that is believable and good, or well done, I should say, is really rewarding. And to quote Alan Rickman, I think that it is often the kindest people who have the greatest depth for the other direction.
Oh.
Because of the feeling. So,
Watch out
because
for
Alan
the
Rickman,
nice
who was
ones.
a gentle soul,
My
may rest in
goat,
peace,
Alan Rickman.
he was amazing at portraying villains. Matt Mikkelsen is another great performer who has constantly portrayed villains, and I think they're both very, very sweet. But that means the potential for the other direction is there as well.
Watch out for the nice people. Okay, got it. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that's such a compelling villain, too. Like, I'm thinking of the, spoilers, the main bad guy from Princess Mononoke, who's like this very affable old man,
Yes.
and then turns out to be horrible. Like, that really stings.
Yeah.
Like, that's the
Oh,
person
yeah.
you don't expect who's super
Yeah.
kind, and like, how impactful that is to be like, oh, no.
Not
Oh,
Not the kind
no.
old man.
No.
So,
All right, look, I want to do some Q&A, but first, my timer, look at that, look at that, it's so
Hey,
good. I want to do some Q&A,
nailed it.
but I want them to talk a little bit about a couple of things. So I'm going to throw it out there. Y'all take it, run with it, do what you want. Look, I'm just here to just drop it and let y'all play, all right? So embracing imperfection. You said something about like not having a perfect character when you come in, and Wes, when we talked coming in, you actually had a thought about having a perfect character coming in. So like, I think there could be some interesting dialogue here about embracing imperfection, especially with what we just talked about with evil characters. And then there's also like this thread of talking about what do we do when we have characters that believe something that we personally don't believe? And how do you think about portraying them? And then how do you think about sitting next to them at the table when maybe it's your character that doesn't agree with them, or it's you personally that doesn't agree with them, so it's kind of grading on who you are. Talk amongst yourselves. Have fun. I don't have an actual question. I just want to know what you guys think about those topics, because I know you have so many beautiful things to say about them, so I'm just going to let you talk about it.
also, can I have a refresher on the no-no phrases I can't say? What are they again?
I want to
The
piggyback on
audience
that.
just gets to yell at you. That's what we've decided.
I want to piggyback on that, or to follow up on that.
Ooh, okay.
But also, I think what we've learned is that there's a spirit here.
Rules as intended versus rules as
there's
written,
an
That's right,
essence.
that's right.
if you will.
There's been an expansion
So
and
look,
evolution.
it's no longer mine.
It's homebrew. It's
The
homebrew.
audience has taken it and
It is up to the people.
has run with it.
It is up
so.
to the people.
And as you should.
Yeah.
So I actually kind of agree that when you're building a TTRPG character, you really should develop some nuances to them. They should not be a fully cooked human, because who wants a story, who wants to listen to or play with a story of somebody who's already fully done? They've grown as much as they're going to grow, and that's it. That's also how I know when a character is ready, that I'm ready to move on to another character, is I'm like, you know what, actually, the growth here is kind of done. And so when you're developing a character, I think not making them perfect is one way to put that, but another way to put that is actually just let them have things that they're still learning and growing and figuring out. And that is what makes them not perfect. You know, it's not like, oh, they hit the hardest, or like, you can make a really crazy great character with a ton of skills, but still not be fully there yet. And so it's got a lot going on, but I do agree that, you know, we should, when you're trying to make characters, it is a more interesting story. But if your goal is not making an interesting story, then that's totally valid.
Right?
That's also valid.
Some people just want to kill monsters,
Just wanna
and
do what they
that's
wanna do.
fine.
That's
You know,
valid,
That's
yeah.
fine.
I wanted to contribute to this particular question because I think it's about growth. Well, especially if it's different for one shots, I feel, you know, where it's kind of, you lean towards that, you know, just bold
Power
character,
fantasy,
power,
yeah.
But, you know, because that's more entertaining for like something that quick. But when it's one of those slow builds, growth of a character is just so fun to see because people from day one remember what that character was like, and then when it's the finale, people are so invested because they've seen your character from those wee baby days of adventure to all the way to the end, and it's so powerful, especially with collaborative storytelling because you guys grow together. But I love giving my characters either quirks or where they're really good at one thing and really bad at a lot of other things. So I'm thinking of one in particular where my friends, the Dragon Rock RPG, had a particular subclass, the archaeologist. So history she was so good. She's so smart, but she could not do anything in battle. So she would be reading to try to figure out a solution to everything, arrows like just going, shooting every which way and things. And they're like, what are you doing? I see something shiny. It might help us. It's just one of those things, but it's just also to that growth and like learning how to become better at things. But things like that, I think it's more fun, especially at a table where, again, you get to play off of your friends and kind of learn and grow together. It's just fun. It's more interesting, I think, the growth, the journey.
And I think one of the coolest things about the TTRPG space is you are building, oftentimes we come to these characters at a point in time, and then you build them forward and backward at once. Because you never come to the table with a full history of the character. Like you have the broad strokes, the bio, you have a lot. And one of the beauties of this space and just creating characters in general is almost in the moment discovering things about them that you didn't even know, that they have maybe really strong opinions about, that you're suddenly like, oh my God, this is a thing for them that you didn't really realize until it kind of the gauntlet got thrown down, and suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, this is a core part of this person. And then to Shane's earlier point, like building in those stakes.
Oh no!
He's just giving me credit. He's just giving me credit.
Hit me. Do it again. Just roll the damn dice.
The spirit moved. It's a 15.
I can't help it.
Oh my God.
I knew it was going to be you.
It's the DM in me.
Oh, this is like candy for you. Name 3 things you love about TTRPGs. Go.
TTRPGs. Oh man, community, growth, and man, I was born to tell stories. I think pretty much everybody up here was. Like I think it's the deepest, it's the oldest tradition we have, and I think it's what makes humanity unique in the universe, is that we have the ability to learn from one another rather than through personal experience. And stories are what allow us to do that. We can learn through the power of story. So, I mean, that is genuinely to me the thing that, I mean, it keeps me coming back, man. But stakes. When you have opinions, when you have solid opinions, and you build those things forward and backward.
I also want to say that in order to do that, you need to trust the most obvious thing. Whatever that most obvious thing is that your character would do in that moment, trust that that's what they would do. Because it's not going to be obvious to everybody else. And when you play with that and you invest in that, and obviously you weigh, like, is this going to help the campaign move forward? Like, don't
derail it all.
Don't be a bad player. But as long as that thought will not derail the campaign, trust the obvious thing. And you'll make that decision, and it will be great.
And communicate, because if you create a really intense character who's going to do things that you disagree with, or your fellow players are going to disagree with, or their characters are going to disagree with, and you got to make sure before and after the session that everybody's cool with what's going on, because there's going to be some tension. So you got to make sure that you spend time. We have a process in Venture Forth where we make sure we take care of each other before and after the sessions, because we often come into conflict. And conflict is very fun and exciting, but you also, you love each other at the end of the day, and that's really important to maintain.
That was masterful how you two avoided saying to piggyback on. It was a master class. So, Ashley, do you have any thoughts on that? Yeah, clap that up. That's good. Ashley, what about you? Do you have any thoughts on it before we do a little bit of Q&A before they boot us out of here?
I'll ask what the original question was.
So it was about embracing either imperfections or thinking about characters that we don't agree with, or say things that we don't. Oh yeah, there's an interesting story there. Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. So it's the energy is a little bit different when you have an audience where it's inclusive. You can see everybody that you're telling that story with, versus yeet, and then a bunch of people out there experience it. And it is this very interesting thing where sometimes you will do something that your audience is going to take issue with, and it essentially matters most that you do it with intention. Like we had one character, we had a storyline where one character calls another character a head case. And we had some fans who were very upset about that because that was not a nice thing to say. And we're like, we agree with you. That was a terrible thing for that character to have said, and it is exactly in her wheelhouse, and she is being a jerk right now. So that is something we want her to learn and grow from, but that is the intention, is that she is in the wrong here. Versus there was another situation where we had 2 characters who had beef. One character, he calls people lab rats. He's a scientist. It's kind of his brand. Yeah, that's caustic. And,
Toxic, yeah.
And he called this one particular character, Crypto, who he had particular beef, he called him a rat. And we got feedback on that. It's like, oh, that's actually a racial slur. Was that your intention? And we were like, no. No, it was not. So that one we went back and changed it because it was like, that is pushing the character in a direction that we did not intend to go. And we don't want to engage with that. That's not of interest to us. So we pulled back and we said, okay, no, we're not going to be talking about that. But there was another situation where Caustic basically criticized Crypto for speaking to him in a language that he didn't speak. We also got some feedback about that. And we're like, no, that was intentional. He's making fun of him as you can't understand me, you're not as smart as you think you are. And then Crypto gets his comeuppance on Caustic later. So with those different situations, we got backlash from the community. They're like, we have very strong opinions about this. In the situation where they were where it wasn't our intention, we were like, thank you, we'll pull back on that. But in the other situations, we're like, we're gonna embrace this and carry forward with this because we want to see these characters grow and we want you to see who they are as people and the flaws that come with that.
Cool.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Back to the importance of the check-in. Do we have a question? Do we have a question or 2 questions? Oh, yeah. Hi, hands. I wanted to say right here was first, yeah.
Yeah, so y'all mentioned how DMs can support new players in creating characters, developing characters. I don't play the DM very often, so I want to know how to play as a player with a character that can also support other people who are learning how to build characters.
I'm so passionate about this. The best players at your table will highlight other players and will get to know other players. Those are the best players at your table. So that is the best way to do that, is to interact with them, is to give them opportunities give other people opportunities to shine.
Ask the questions.
Giving space, I think. Yeah.
That is
And suggesting they do a thing if you know that they'll excel at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. I love the people who have, in a campaign, there's the broody character, but then there's that really happy-go-lucky person that just wants to be their friend. And it becomes that annoying, hey, let's talk. And it's like, no, man, go away, go do your thing. But eventually that person kind of opens up more. It's usually those kinds of things where it's kind of playing with those different dynamics where, in a way we're making those connections that we kind of talked about, trying to find those moments to kind of highlight each other's characters, but also to try to connect in fun, new ways, interesting ways too.
In the white shirt over here, yeah.
I was just wondering if you guys have ever been in a situation where you've created a character and you had all of these motivations and goals and whatnots, and then something happens that's not expected when you're introducing it, some series of events where it really changes the way the character is introduced to the party or the group or whatever, and also you got to deal with, are you going to try and hold on to that original idea for this character that you built, or if you kind of have to pivot to a different thing based on those very few introductory events?
May I, real quick?
So I was at AL, I had a character. He was basically Batman. His name was Rowan. He was an urban ranger, sat down at the table, gave that, and then right next to me, the guy's like, I'm playing Bowen. He's a paladin. He is a police officer. No one is above the law. So we had these fundamentally different characters. And I didn't know this guy that well. And we both were okay, we're gonna play this as it is, which is our characters do not align on almost anything. They became best friends over the course of that 20-level campaign because they learned to see eye to eye on the things that they could. And it was amazing because we were we're going to stick to this and we're going to explore that, and with all of the tools, communication and constant checking in. And it was amazing. So that was a fun time to have the opportunity to maybe change and then say, let's explore it together and see what we can come up with.
I think I'm going to take your answer as the spirit of it a little bit differently, the question, because from what the question. I'm going to take the question differently because I actually didn't take it. I took it to say what happens when. Fine, that's fine. But I took it.
You're protecting Rebecca. I see it. Okay.
I took it to be when you've created a character that then just something falls short when you're introducing it. Is that correct?
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I
No, it's
misunderstood
fine.
the question.
I loved your answer.
I
But
misunderstood,
my character that I'm playing currently, Oma, there is a very, very specific thing in her background that somehow we had a transition in DMs, got completely destroyed. It doesn't exist anymore. And I had to sit there and say, okay, well, that was a lot of things I was building for 2.5 years, but my character didn't know it. Me, Rebecca, knew that was there. And I had been peppering in stuff for it, but it's gone, and I had to say, okay, well, I don't want to reverse engineer anything. I don't want to change where we are now, and I don't want the whole story to be rewritten because my character that I built didn't get to do the thing I wanted it to do. And in those moments, it does feel a little bit like you're killing your darlings. And so the only way forward is to embrace the things about your character that you still know and love, and develop more from there. You know what I'm saying? So it's that didn't, because you can just say, okay, actually, let me try that again, right? You can do that. We're just playing with our friends. Even if we're recording, we can say, hey, can I please Uno reverse and do that again? Or you can embrace the way it was created and interpreted and just go with that.
All right. We have to wrap.
Okay.
We can do one more question?
Last question.
Yeah?
That's what it says.
No, you're not allowed, sir. Sir, you're not allowed.
Clean this one up.
I think there's...
I'm going to go with Lamar in the back. I love you, though.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, how do you navigate playing a character that is fundamentally unlikable?
Bravo, sir. Bravo.
That's the last question?
Good question.
Damn.
Play a different character.
I've played professionally played two very unlikable characters. One was a necromancer kobold that nobody liked, and one was a high elf fighter that was just thought very highly of himself, and you know how annoying that is. I give them people in the party that they connect with, and I give them noble goals that they go about in really bad ways. And that way they're like, yeah, that way you have opportunities to make them change and make them grow. The point is not to have everybody hate them forever. Yeah. The point is to give them a very specific role in the party, have them fulfill that role, and then have them change and grow, and the party starts to find out, oh, they really like insects. Oh, they actually, give them small things that are redeemable. And that will, and obviously their goals have to align with the party's goals.
Have them care about something a lot, because we really, really love in film and television a father or a mother who's a terrible person in all ways, but then they're doing it because they love their kid. That's the most common trope in media now, is a bad dad who's doing it for his daughter. It's everywhere. Yeah. So it's give them something they care about a lot, and they can be as unlikable as you want. Also, have them try super hard. Nothing is more relatable than hard work. So even if they're annoying, if they're working hard, there's something in there to care about.
We could do this forever, and I want to. I really want to, but we can't. So, can we get a big round of applause for Shane, Ashley, Arcane Anthems, Rebecca, Seth, and Utahime? Let's go! All right, y'all. Thank you. This has been a pleasure. I hope y'all have a good rest of your con. I think we're going to stick around out here for a few minutes, maybe. Outside for a few minutes. Yeah. All right, y'all. Have a good one. I don't want to get in trouble for you guys. I have a character that was not